Most creators think they have to choose between being completely broke or a total shill. But that choice is a lie. If you stay on the starving artist side, your business runs out of oxygen real quick, and let's be honest, the starving artist routine, it's tired. And if you flip over to the sellout side, you burn your audience's trust to the ground. So today I'm gonna show you a third way of how to make money by actually being more helpful. And by the way, I'm Ryan Ellis. I'm a full-time musician and music creator who's passionate about helping other creators find success. Now, let's go ahead and start by talking about the trust revenue scale for creators. And then I'll share the 3 things that you can do today to maximize both revenue and trust as a creator without selling out. Okay, so let's go ahead and cover the trust revenue scale. All creators operate on a dual axis of trust and revenue. These are both assets you want to max out as a creator, but there's a push and pull here that you have to be aware of. Obviously, your goal is to find the right balance between both of them. Now, on one side of this trust revenue scale, we have what I call the starving artist. This is a passionate individual with the labor of love, creating content about something they care deeply about. For me, that's guitar and metal music, right? But here's the problem. The starving artist is allergic to the idea of actually making any money from their following because they don't want to betray their audience's trust or be seen as a sellout or a shill. And I get it because I've been there too. In fact, I'll go a step further and say that you and I are 100% right to be worried, and it's not just an abstract problem. I've even seen it happen recently in my niche as well. Now, without naming names, there are some big creators in the music space who chose to accept brand deals with an AI music tool called Suno AI. Now, for an audience of musicians, that's quite the tone-deaf move because AI tools are threatening the livelihood of the very people they create content for. So yes, these big music creators are probably making good money off of that brand deal this month, but they're hurting their business in the long term for a short-term game. We call that selling out. Now, with that said, the starving artist is still a risky place to be because when you don't make any real money off of your content, you risk burnout. And let's be real, we all have bills to pay as well. And very few people can keep up with the hamster wheel of content creation for free, especially if it's their only job. So you owe it to yourself and to your audience to make what you do a sustainable business. I hope you agree that making money as a creator isn't an icky or dirty thing. It's something you literally earn for the work that you're doing. So to summarize what the starving artist is, it's maximum trust, but minimum revenue coming in. And on the flip side, we have the sellout. Imagine these creator types as wearing a shingle 24/7 that says open for business. They'll sell their audience's attention to anyone and everyone, especially the highest bidder. And you can probably tell I don't think very highly of this as a creator, and that's the point. These creators may be maximizing their income, at least in the short term, but they're eroding the foundation of their business with trust decay. It's kind of like killing the golden goose, and when you work hard for years to build up an audience, a brand, and a reputation, that's really just not a great idea. And before too long, the sellout won't have any influence or audience trust because they put their own financial needs far ahead of the integrity of their content. Now, going back to our Suno AI example, these are creators who cashed in big time on this brand deal, but may have a tough time getting the next brand deal after losing subscribers, total engagement, and positive brand sentiment online. Now, you might be thinking, Ryan, if a brand offered me 5 figures to talk about a tool, how could I say no? Well, the answer is you don't have to say no to money. You just have to say no to the wrong money. And so that's the sellout, maximum revenue and minimum trust. Now, if you've never monetized your content or audience before, that scenario is exactly what you're afraid of, being called a sellout, having your audience reject you, and losing relevance. But luckily there is a third option, and I call it the trusted creator. The trusted creator expects to make money from their content from day one, but not in a sleazy or underhanded way. They create helpful content that solves their audience's problems, and they deliberately monetize in a way that adds even more value to those who want it, while not alienating the core audience along the way. Now, I'll admit that the sellout may look like they're winning because their bank account is full today, but in reality, they're just cashing in their reputation. Or to put it another way, they aren't actively building a creator business anymore, they're running a liquidation sale, and they may not even realize it themselves. But over any decent period of time, the trusted creator always wins both total earnings and total satisfaction from their work. So here are 3 things you can do to become a trusted creator, whether you're starting from scratch or already years into the content creation game. The first move I'm going to recommend to you is called proactive brand alignment. This is like the 2.0 of brand partnerships because you're in control in making your content brand deal ready in a way that will add value to your audience. The problem for most creators is that they wait for brands to flood their inbox with messages about doing a deal. But if you wait for brands to come knocking, you're just playing defense. You're only choosing from whatever random company happens to find you. Instead, the trusted creator plays offense, deciding ahead of time which types of products and even which specific brands they want to work with, and then gearing their content strategy to match that goal. In my case, I thought about the 5 tools, plugins, guitar brands, and pedals that I actually use every single day to make music. And I also looked at what other creators have brand deals and who they are working with to kind of reverse engineer the kind of content that those brands like to repost or share or create. Lastly, and this is really important, I try to solve a problem for the brand in my videos. In the music niche, it would be as easy as answering the question of why would somebody buy this piece of gear? I created content that aligned with those brands for several months. I'm talking guitar technique videos, original music, unboxing videos, product reviews, but all of them were in real world context. I'm using these products for real, not just talking about them. And then when it made sense, I reached out to those brands myself. I didn't wait for them to reach out to me. That can include tagging them in your posts when you reference them. And after using the product consistently across many videos, I also send them an email or a DM to see if they actually want to become a partner or a sponsor. Now, notice how proactive this whole strategy is. I do the research, I create the content, I buy and use the products, I let the brands know that I'm talking about them, and then I reach out to see if we can make a brand deal. When you do this, your product recommendation doesn't feel like a distraction, it feels like a recommendation from a friend. You aren't selling out, you're letting your audience in on your real process. And it feels like a brand that meshes with your true philosophy and style because it actually does. Now, once you've picked a product or brand to promote, you need to find a way to integrate it into your content. So let's talk about that. The second move you need to make is naturally integrating promotions into your content. Because if you think about it, most sponsored segments feel cringe because of the hard pivot. And you know what I mean. You're watching a creator talking about fitness or music or finance, and then suddenly they're talking about a VPN or a mobile game, and that brings me to today's sponsor, NordVPN. And that sudden shift erodes trust because the brand has nothing to do with the creator's niche or area of expertise. They're clearly only promoting it to make money, and their audience notices that too. But we're gonna do this in a different way. Instead of stopping the video cold for an ad break, you'll mention the product seamlessly as the solution to the very problem that you're discussing. For example, let's say that I'm doing a tutorial on how to record heavy vocals at home. I don't stop the video suddenly to talk about a microphone, do I? Here's what I say instead. Now, the biggest frustration you're probably hitting right now is room noise. If you're recording in a home studio like me, that noise is an absolute nightmare that muddies up your mix. Luckily, insert product is a great microphone for this, and it's the only one that actually cleaned up my signal without killing the tone. Let me show you how I set it up. So do you see the difference there? In this case, I'm not actually selling a mic. I'm solving the room noise problem that I just identified for my audience. So if you're in a problem-solving niche, you can do the exact same thing, especially if you're proactively aligning your content to the brands that you want to promote. All right, so the final piece of the puzzle is changing how you view your content. You're not just there to entertain people and soak up the likes like a starving artist focused on the look at me content, right? You're not just there to make gobs of money without caring about your audience like the sellout, focused on buy this content. You're a trusted creator who helps solve problems for your audience, both entertaining and valuable. And you do that with utility content, which is tutorials, product reviews, and buying guides, which are the highest value videos that you can make because they have a built-in desire loop. If someone searches for the best overdrive pedals from metal, they're already in a buying mindset. They aren't looking for entertainment, they're looking for a solution. When you provide a deep dive review that highlights the pros and cons, you're building massive trust with your audience. Think of it as a search to sale pipeline of sorts. When you make a vibe video, you're hoping the algorithm finds somebody who might like you. But when you make a utility video, you're catching somebody at the exact moment that they have a problem. If you help them solve that problem for free, you've just earned a trust deposit. When you eventually recommend a paid solution like a specific plugin or your own course, they aren't thinking, is he selling to me? They're thinking, he helped me last time, so I bet this is even better. And here's something else you can do to make more utility content. First, go look at your comments. Find the number one how do I question. Create a 10 to 15 minute utility video answering that question. And if there's a tool or product that makes that solution 10 times faster or easier, just mention it. It's really that simple. You aren't selling them a product, you're introducing them to a solution. And prioritizing more problem-solving content in your content pipeline just gives you more opportunities to provide a ton of value to your audience. So we've covered a lot in this video. Let's go ahead and zoom back out and recap what we've talked about. First of all, there's the starving artist who has maximum trust with their audience, but because they don't sell anything, they also don't make any money, and that is not sustainable. Then we have the sellout, who earns maximum revenue in the short term because they're selling everything they possibly can, a shill, but also don't have audience trust. And then we have the ideal blend of the two, which is the trusted creator. And remember, you can get there by following these 3 steps. Proactive brand alignment, which is purposely steering your content strategy to align with the brands that you want to promote down the road. Next up are natural integrations, which means seamlessly embedding your promotions into your content to add value, not take away from it. And number 3 is utility first content, actively creating problem-solving content that addresses your audience pain points in real time. It's really not any more complicated than that. And you'll be able to build out content that actually resonates with your audience and appeals to the brands that you want to work with. And spoiler alert, all of this same work applies to other monetization pillars like creating your own digital products or even building an exclusive community where your trust can truly compound. So with all of this in mind, here's what you can do to go and put everything into practice and become a trusted creator. For your next piece of content, pick one brand that you'd love to work with and that would fit in with your audience. Then write one video or post that naturally ties into that brand. And next, practice naturally integrating that promotion into your script with a contextual bridge. As you get used to this process, you'll notice something start to shift. You'll stop feeling like a content creator on a hamster wheel and start feeling like a business owner with an ecosystem. But there's one final trust multiplier that you need. You can have the best brand deals and the best problem-solving content, but if your audience is scattered across 5 different social media comment sections, you don't own that relationship. The algorithm does. So I highly, highly, highly recommend you move your true fans off of the big tech platforms and into your own home base where that trust can compound. And that's why I use and recommend Sphere for hosting your own online community. With Sphere, you aren't just another profile in a feed, you are the architect of your own space. You can customize everything to fit your brand and monetize through courses or subscription tiers without it feeling like a pitch. And best of all, Sphere handles all payments directly so you can stay focused on being helpful and valuable to your audience. So if you're ready to stop playing defense and start building a real creator business that earns you the living that you deserve, click the link down in the description below to launch your community today. And of course, we have plenty more content on this channel about finding success in the new creator economy, like this one on the top 5 income streams every creator needs to build. Anyway, that's all I've got for you on this one. I hope you got a ton of value out of it. Now, go build something great, and I'll see you in the next video.